Hello and welcome to another SAP Workflow Expert video. Today we're going to start our overview of the different workflow step types with the most useful of them all, the activity step. Stay tuned. Today we'll show you how to place a piece of ABAP code in the workflow template. This can be used for existing SAP delivered pieces of code, business APIs, also known as BAPIs in Japanese, or your own custom code. This will include sending information up and down the workflow infrastructure by binding workflow container elements. So what we're doing today, I'm going to show you my background graphic here, is we're taking the step 3 route. We'll take the step in the workflow template and we'll bind it to a task. The task is then bound to a method on a business object stored in the business object repository. I'll show you all this in the SAP GUI, and we'll start in the business object repository, also known as the BOR. I'll display the object here. This is SAP's first take on object-oriented programming. You've got your key identifiers, which is the material number, attributes, all the descriptors for the object, methods, all the verbs. What we're interested here today in is display. You can see there's green icons down the middle here. These mean that they are APIs, meaning they're accessible, replicable chunks of code that API allows you to use internally and externally to get the same effect. By clicking on the green icon, you can actually see the API and the code that will get executed in this step. This is SAP's business function. And you see here that it's a remote enabled module. APIs also have to follow a stringent format as well. We can also show you the code that calls that function in the program of the object itself. Here you can see the beginning of the method, the end of the method, and it's simply calling the BAPI. By double-clicking, you can see that it's dialog, meaning it needs user interaction. Synchronous, meaning there will be an end and it will go back to the system for processing after the end of the step. There's no result type. And again, that same API is called from here. You can call standard function modules, API function modules, transaction codes, dialog modules, etc. So that's what we're going to display today. That was the business object repository level. I'll show you the task level next because we're working our way from the bottom to the top. Tasks can be seen in PFTC. For this transaction code, there's also a variation for each action you're doing on the task. So there's an underscore DIS for display, there's an underscore CHG for change, etc. But if you go into PFTC alone, you'll have access to all of them. Your security personnel may have you restricted to one or more variations. However, the PFTC transaction covers them all. We'll search for a standard task that I've already created for this purpose, called display material. And you can see here, it's calling our same object type and our same method. Now the container elements that it's got are the standard SAP workflow container elements. That's why they're in a little lighter gray. The ones in black are the ones that are required, not required, sorry. The ones in black are the ones that are pertinent to this step. And you can see how they communicate. I'll open another session with the business object repository here as well. We'll go to display and we'll show you the parameters because that's where this is coming from. We've got our return parameter and our material EVG. In our container, we've got the return and the material EVG as well. They're the same ones, and how they are connected is through this. This button here shows you the bindings, and that's effectively making these the container elements from the task map to the parameters in the method. And you can see when we open that screen up, we've got material EVG going out and return coming back. The task is on the left side in both of these panes, and the method for the object is on the right side in both of these panes. That's the task. Now to show you the top level, we go into the workflow builder. To use this task in a workflow template, we find the place we want to put it in the flow. We right click and create, or when you've got one of these white boxes, you can double click and it'll allow you the same screen. We'll choose an activity step type. Click the green check mark, and we'll put that task number in and simply hit enter. What it's going to do is it's going to suggest that we create the missing container elements at the workflow level, and then we map them to the ones that are at the task. We'll allow it to do this. One thing I do want to point out to you, a couple things actually, is that neither of these are mandatory. So we won't actually be passing a material EVG because that's an extension of the material number, and it's not something we have in what we're doing right now. It also brings in the step name, and it automated that binding for us as well. If we click the binding, you can now see that material EVG is going from the workflow to the step, in this case the task, and return is coming back. You'll notice as well that the actual material itself, the BUS 10006, is going to the work item object ID. You can tell by the underscore that this is a workflow infrastructure or workflow element, and it's something that's required by the system. Otherwise, it won't know which instance to work on. Who's going to do it? Well, for simplicity's sake in this one, we're going to send it to me. However, you can perform your own agent determination at any time. Green check mark, save, check. No warnings or errors, and we activate. And that is an activity step. By going into the step again, you can see we've assigned it to our task. The description came from the task. The binding was automated. We're simply choosing who to send it to. I'm going to choose to remove the Advance with dialog. What this does is, if the same user is processing several screens in a row, it will continue feeding those screens to the end user without having to go back to the business workplace. The outcomes, we've discussed this in our modeled deadlines. You can add outcomes here, activate existing system outcomes, and then name the outcome on your screen. These names do display in the workflow log for the end user, so be careful what you put here. Notifications and our 4 deadline tabs. Please see our series on deadline management to understand how to use those best, and we'll do more with the tabs further down the line in a future video. So today we've inserted a piece of SAP delivered ABAP code into our workflow template using an activity step, bound the necessary components from the workflow to the task, and from the task to the object. I hope this has helped you. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to subscribe to catch the next video on a different step type that can be used in the workflow template. And hit the thumbs up if this video helped you solve a problem in your own system.